Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Pro Bowl's over with. One more football game to play to wrap up the NFL season. That, of course, was the Super Bowl. That's the one that mattered. The Pro Bowl did not, but they played it. It was a one-point game for what it was worth. Drew Brees threw a touchdown pass. Jimmy Graham caught one. Brees had an interception. He got sacked a few times. The good news is their players got out of the game healthy. That's all that matters.
That is the most important thing at this point, now that the game is over. I kind of liked, in retrospect, I kind of like what they did with the format. I thought it became less of an exhibition, so to speak. Certainly it still was. I mean, at the end of the day, what were they playing for? The difference of a $27,000 paycheck. But I thought it was a little bit there was a little bit more energy to it than maybe there has been in years past with this format. I'm assuming they will keep this in place. I guess we'll see a couple of new captains next year, maybe some quarterbacks, some former quarterbacks plugging in there. But I kind of like the little bit of it that I did see.
I didn't watch a down of it. I didn't plan on it anyway. I was preoccupied with personal things, but that's okay. I wasn't going to watch any of it anyway because I was busy watching the Pelicans, who won their game against Orlando at home. Anthony Davis would not let them lose. He had a monster game with 22 points, 19 rebounds, 7 blocks. That is an all-time franchise record for points, rebounds, and blocks combined. That dates back to Charlotte. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. One more rebound, and get this, he would have become the second 20-year-old in the history of the NBA to have 20, 20, and 7 in one game. Some guy named O'Neal did it when he was 20 years old. So what he's doing at this early an age is pretty remarkable, and it's good to see things starting to get on the upswing a little bit. 3 out of 4. You got to go on the road for 2 to Cleveland and Minnesota, but not necessarily neither one of them unwinnable games. Then you come home for 4 in a row. So see how these next couple of weeks play out.
Yep, I give them a lot of credit. They're playing hard and, of course, playing lesser teams, but still getting it done, and that's all that really matters. So you got Cleveland, you got Minnesota. Let's see how they emerge from those two before they come home. And then, Lenny, the other thing is whether or not Anthony Davis will get a nod as a reserve in the All-Star game. I think at this point there's a reasonable to pretty good chance he will.
You would hope so. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, he deserves it. And 2, you would like to see some home team representation in the game, with the game being played in 3 weeks at New Orleans Arena, all part of a huge 4-day weekend of activities here in New Orleans. But you'd like to see that, to see that local representation. Obviously, 6 years ago, the last time the game was here, you had Chris Paul, you had David West, you had these, the stars that you have here. Davis is an emerging star, and this league is all about showcasing its stars, and I think it's important for them to be able to showcase some of the younger players as opposed to just the Kobes and the Dwight Howards and the LeBrons, the guys who are much more established in terms of their longevity in the league.
I agree with you, and we'll see how that comes out. Not sure, but anything's possible. College basketball, LSU tough loss on the road at Alabama after they rallied from way down. Tulane a loser, UNO a winner, and that's a nice story there. The UNO basketball program is really on the uptick, Lenny. They're competing very well in their very first year back in Division I.
Yeah, they really are. Went on the road and won, swept a 2-game road swing. Their schedule was not very friendly to them in terms of what the deck they got handed from the Southland. Basically, they had 4 in a row at home that ended a week and a half ago. They're on the road now for 3 weeks, and then they come home and they play at home for 3 weeks. Oh, by the way, leading right into Mardi Gras. So that's, they didn't get necessarily the best end of the schedule, as it were. But give Mark Schlesinger and his crew credit for fighting on. And game I watched a good bit of that game Thursday night at Houston Baptist. They had a big lead, let it get away, and then took control again in the second half. A lot of times you'll see some of these teams that are just, they let a lead get away, and they're not going to kind of re-break, to use some horse racing parlance there. And but they did, and finished up strong in the second half.
College baseball, Baseball America poll is out. LSU is preseason number 9, and Louisiana Lafayette preseason number 14 in the nation. The Cajuns led by Caleb Adams, outstanding outfielder. The Tigers led by Austin Ola and Alex Bregman both were together in the NCAA Regional at Baton Rouge a year ago, and it's nice to see both of them getting the early recognition.
Yep, and believe it or not, in spite of the weather we're about to face here in the next 48 hours, you know what? There's baseball this week.
Oh, my.
Delgado opens its season Friday and Saturday. Thankfully, not at home. They're going to St. Petersburg, Florida for a season opening tournament. Delgado also nationally ranked, top 15 in the nation. Joe Sherman's team was number one at one point a year ago, hoping to perhaps get back to the Junior College World Series for a second time under Joe.
Baseball, believe it or not, it's here. We look forward to it. Lenny, it's always a pleasure. Have a great week.
All right, we'll talk more Super Bowl on Friday.
Look forward to it. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNoah.com. Don't forget Sports Noah TV, 6 p.m. this evening on WHNO Channel 20. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week. God bless you.